All right, yo. So, as far as y'all are concerned, this is year 2 of Sir's trading journey. But for me, this is year 6. So, with that, welcome. And this is my story: the ups, the downs, the good, the bad. And so, with that, 2025 ended, and 2025 was quite the year. We came into the year very, very, very high ambition, very, very, very high angst, I would say, but overall very hopeful. And that hope did manifest itself in a past prop firm challenge, another past prop firm challenge, and manifested itself in finding Evolve Bible Study, which later now has become Evolve Church. And what an amazing year. And so with that, like I said, this is the same story, but I want to make sure I'm a little bit more authentic, a little bit more honest, I would say. I just want to make sure I'm a little bit more authentic and a little bit more honest with everything. And so December was quite the fun year. As you know, I failed my prop firm challenge, and I dedicated all of Q4 to sitting down and figuring out how to have a better understanding. I can't necessarily say master, but have a better understanding of why it is that I failed, and understanding why and what to do when the market goes sideways, what to do when the market creates ranges that are irregular or bigger than what I'm used to trading. And I've now gone on to coin the term for myself, not for everybody else, but I've coined the term called super ranges. And I've learned and understood that two things: that price has historically, when price creates these ranges, whether it's back in 2016, 2015, 2008, 2009, whatever it may be, if price created these ranges back then, it's likely to create the range in the same area again. So if I can see these ranges, mark them on my chart, I can better be prepared, or at least briefed, as price gets ready to enter these ranges. And I can have my discernment fine-tuned and tuned up to be ready for a regular movement. And so stuff like that, being able to see that, I can take that, I can apply it to my trading plan for this year. But like I said, I just want to continue to just capture my ambition, to just capture my love for trading. I love pattern recognition. And with that, though, I also want to make sure that I'm not getting in my own way, because there were moments, and there have been moments in the past, where I was up two, three, four, $5,000. Let me not even say money. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6%, whatever it may be. But because my target was 10%, 12%, I didn't take profit. And not only did I not take profit, I allowed price to reverse all the way back down to my stop loss, whether my stop loss was at break even or if it was my original stop loss. So I want to allow my ambition to have fun and to run rampant and to master this skill at a higher level than I already have. But I also want to make sure I'm putting boundaries around my ambition so that I don't get in my own way. Because the vision at the end of the day is to be in a position to where I can teach people this skill. And I don't just mean to teach people for the sake of like teaching people making money like everybody else does. I don't necessarily care about that. God's already promised me and told me that I won't have to worry about money. And this skill here will take care of that and then some. So I'll be good there. But there are people out there like yourself watching this video, or even people who are part of the church that I'm now a part of, people who have a background in finance and have experienced trauma in this space, have experienced trauma for not, that just simply have experienced trauma from this space. And God can use me as a vessel to serve as his corrective experience back onto his people when it comes to finances before the kingdom. Because when it comes to finances, people who have wealth in the kingdom, these people are meant, or I won't even say that, wealth as a whole is meant to rescue God's body when in times of need. So when we think about people like the Great Samaritan, or the is it the Great Samaritan, or this is the Samaritan man. I forget. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank right now. But the Samaritan man, he was in a position to see that guy on the side of the road, beaten up, battered. He was in a position to not only rescue him, to bandage him back up, to take him to lodging. I'll just call it a hotel. Take him to a hotel, to pay the lady and say, hey, take care of this man until I return, to make sure that he was good and taken care of. Then we have people like, I want to say We can go all the way back to Joseph, what he did for Egypt, or even like Joseph, the other Joseph, Joseph of Arimathea, I believe it is. He's the one who went and purchased Jesus's body to bury him properly. And so taking this skill, combining that with the heart that the Lord has given me, a similar heart to how the Bible talks about David was a man after God's own heart. Similar for myself, who's been in a position to give back to others, who has a heart to give back onto others. I'm gonna keep saying that because I don't want to boast in myself, but like, God has been very gracious and generous, not just to myself, but to you, to the many people around us on a day-to-day basis, whether we choose to acknowledge it or not. I choose to acknowledge that, and I want to give this thing back to him. But it's not about my works, but I still have a level of responsibility, of submission, of dedicating the work of my hands to the Lord and making space for myself to come to the end of myself so that God's hand can come in and intercede and do the miraculous, to do the awesome things of him on a day-to-day basis. And this is my goal. This is my ambition. From the beginning of when I first started trading, my why at the time was a little bit more simple, but I just wanted to create an example, to create a perspective for my siblings to see like, hey, this is another way of seeing life. This is another way of going about life. This is another way of achieving quote unquote success and not having to go to a 4-year or 8-year or 12-year, depending on whatever it is, or slaving away at a job for 8 to 12 hours a day or whatever it may be. There's another way to achieve this thing, and it's honorable before our God. That was my why at the time, but it's grown into so much more than that. And the reason why it's grown so much greater than just me, I can honestly attest to Evolve. Like, these people, this man and woman through AJ and Natalie, they've given me a home. They've given my spirit, my very being, a sense of comfort, a sense of belonging. What I mean by that is every place I've always found success wherever I've gone. But since I was a kid, I've never felt like I fully belonged to a people or fully belonged to a group or to a thing, whether it was sports, whether it was work, whatever it may be. This was good, but it wasn't great. This was okay, but this wasn't that, But the moment when God planted that dream in my head to seek out this man, pre-Bible study, pre all of this, to seek this man out, I find him. I sit down, have a conversation with him. And all I've wanted to do is just be present, to just be there and witness what it is that God is doing in and through them as a vessel. Because oftentimes it's a blessing when we get to receive and bear witness to what it is that God is doing in another person's life, to bear witness to a testimony unfolding in real time before they even see it. I am blessed to not only have a friendship, to have a relationship, to have interaction with these amazing men and women of God, but I get to see God in and through a different light, and a light that a lot of people don't get to see. And I'm blessed to see that. I'm blessed to see the system of it all. I'm blessed to see how God's hand is unfolding in their lives and the lives of many people around them that don't even know they're a part of this process yet. And it's blowing my mind, and I'm blessed to ponder on this. I'm just in awe of that. But being in that space, seeing how God is bringing all these people together, changing lives, setting up something greater than ourselves, has made me realize that this skill is greater than just me. I can't be selfish in myself, so I truly believe that this is the year for me to really lock in. Now, let me not say really lock in, like there's more work to be done. There's not more work to be done. Everything I've needed to do as far as learning and applying, or not applying, but just learning and studying has already been done. This is a year of just simple application and trust. God's given me a successful trading process. We reworked it according to what he's revealed to me and I've seen as far as holes in my trading like we saw last year. And now I just have to be faithful to apply it, faithful to wait on him, to be strong and courageous, because to be courageous before God is to acknowledge fear, to acknowledge all of those emotions, and yet submit them onto God and trust that he's going to show up in a timely manner as he's done yesterday and as he's done tomorrow. And I trust him in that process. And so here we are again back in 2026. I'm very, 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 very excited for this year. I've already purchased a prop firm challenge. I purchased one back in, I want to say December 30th. I went with E8 Markets. I purchased a 28 or a 200K prop challenge. And this is that journey. This is that story. In the next video, I'll give an update as far as my personal trading, how things have gone so far. But it's going to be a great year. It's going to be an amazing year. We're going to document it all, the ups, the down, but I don't want to lose. Let me not say that. We won't. We will be faithful to document all of this. I'm confident because this is so much bigger than just me, and I'm seeing his hand in everything around me. And I have no true choice. I have no choice but to thrive, but to rise up and reach the next level. So here we are. I am Sir Javon Lee. I am also the obsessive opportunist, but I don't know if I'm going to change the name. I don't know if I'm going to change the name yet to the YouTube. So we'll wait on that. I'm going to pray about that. But yeah, we'll see you in the next one.